Hello? How did you get in here? Xbox One X isn't out yet.
Taco Bell's.
Okay. It seems good. More of a delay than I was yesterday, but I mean, you turn the mic up. I've got it moved so it's not quite as loud as it was yesterday. Alright, you guys out there, go ahead and let me know how the audio's doing. We're gonna start the stream off with a little bit of a perfect world tutorial. Why am I starting that? I cut it off the file and edit part. This is for those of you who are getting tired of the autogen and want to create your own worlds but don't know how to. This is one possible setup for it. As you can see, this includes the normal map, a lot of the normal map parameters that you can use under advanced world generation, including putting in manual seeds. Right now, you can't select any of the options, and that's because I don't have a world gen file set up. But we'll get to that later. If you come over to the biome map, it currently looks like this. It's just all mountain. All of it. As you keep going, you come over here, and this is where you want to start. As you can see, all of this looks a little confusing at first, but it's not as complex as it seems. This tool is much easier to use than Dwarf Fortresses itself. If you want to get started before changing any of these options, just click Create New Turbulence Field. As you can see, it's already created a little map over here. If we come to the biome map, zoom out, it's already created a little map. Now, this doesn't take into account any temperature, rain, drainage, or any of that yet. We still haven't set those up. Now, here on the elevation map, if you click these options, as you can see, it changes the map. Right. And you can switch between this being relatively normal with allowing seas and stuff to form or whatever, increasing its height so it's more mountainous, or making it a sea in of itself. You can do that with all of the sides, except the middle only has the water option. If you go down here and you click Generate Noise Field, it makes it feel more earthy and rough. And as you can see with the turbulence and the noise field, with the way it pops up, you can move these around and alter the composition. So if I want this to be a very central sea like that, I can. If I want it to be very southern or southeast, all I have to do is move that. And anytime you're not satisfied with this, you can just come over here and you can click Generate New Turbulence Field. As you can see, it redoes the map. The noise field hasn't changed though, and you can move that around like the other. Anytime you want to do that, you click Generate New Noise Field. These sliders affect both the generations, and as you move, even if you don't have to generate something new in order to affect it. Watch. If I drop that down to 8, the sea level recedes, or if I drop it up to like 74, suddenly it's all mountainous islands. I usually tend to keep this about 20 to 30, depending on how watery I want the map. In this case, I'm going to go with 25 just for something to work with. And percent below tree line alters how the maximum height. So if you, as you turn this up, mountains go away. As you turn it down, they get bigger and bigger and bigger. I tend to keep this between 70 and 85. Right now, I'm just going to stick it at 80, and I accidentally moved that, so I'll put that back. If I'm too loud, just let me know. Turbulence control down here does something similar. As you can see, as you lower the weight of it, the noise field becomes more and more important. So if you want it to be more of the turbulence and less of the noise, you turn that up max. And if you increase the feature size, I really don't know exactly what that does, but as you can see, it's turned the map crazy over here. I tend to keep this pretty low. I'm trying to remember where I started it at. I think it was at about 20. No, that's wrong. 10. That's also wrong. Um, these sliders, I believe, do not reset when you reload. Otherwise, I just reload to try and get this fixed. I think it's supposed to be like 17 or something. 15. 15 would be my guess. Use this to... Aha. Okay. So let's just keep moving this around until we get it where it's... There it is. 18. 18 is where it was. That's what I'm used to roughly dealing it with. So we'll turn this back down to about 80. And you can see why I don't really play with that option much. I have a balance I like, and I don't want to mess it up. And with the noise field, as you lower the weight, it does less. As you increase it, it does more. Unlike lowering the weight of the turbulence, it just increases how much each of these little dots on this map have impact. And usually I keep it about 25 to 45, depending on how rough I want the world. Put it at 25 for now. The feature size increases the number of little things. So as you see, as it goes up, it's worse and worse. And if you go down enough, it becomes very smooth. I tend to keep this about 50 to 70, depending on how rough I want the world. It seems just a little rough. Let's drop it for this. 45. 45 seems, oh, seems good. Smoothness, just... honestly, I don't know what this one does very much. But you can see it does make a visual change. I guess it makes each dot more jagged within its own circumference, but I'm not positive, so don't quote me on that. Like I said, this is a tutorial, but this is also me playing around with it and figuring out new stuff in front of you guys. The rainfall map is a little bit more simple, and as you can see, there's a brush width up here, and a brush value as you go up to 1. You're putting it at its highest, and as you're at 0, it's at its lowest. I believe if I was to paint with 0, I'd create water. Or painting with 1 creates these high peaks. 5 creates these orange, very hilly areas that will probably be badlands, depending on how it's all set up. We'll mess with that later. As you can choose the wind direction. In this case, I want it to be blowing southeast in from this main body of water. And then you click Generate Rain Shadow Map. And this takes a second, but when it's done, as you can see, these are really wet areas, and just like in real life, the mountains tend to block and trap the rain. So on the other side of this mountain range, it's very dry. If I generate a noise field, it does edit that somewhat due to other smaller air currents, basically. I can move this around and change it. So as you can see, there's little green patches showing up over here. Those are little, like, OACs, basically, how I would describe them. And you can do the same thing with the painting here as you paint. With the higher values you get there, with lower values you get dry. On the temperature map, you can choose between radial and linear. You can choose its gradient slope. And 90 degrees means it's straight across the top and bottom, which I will show you with linear right now. So I click up there and I click generate temperature map. As you can see, this is the freezing, the cold, temperate, the warm, the hot, the scorching. And you can use these to edit those. So if you want a world that's entirely freezing, you can just do that. Turn that back down to like 8. Once I get these settings relatively fixed, I'll show you the I try to keep the bands relatively equal size, with warm and temperate getting the largest chunks. Cold needs to decrease just a little bit more, and warm needs to increase a little bit more. Or scorching just a tad. There. Just a little bit more freezing, a little bit less cold, and a little bit more warm. Not that much. Close enough. But if I switch it over to radial, as you can see, it radiates in a band like you would see on the globe. Basically, you start to get down towards where this planet's equator would be, and this is the pole, or at least if this was a full, like, northern hemisphere. And then when you click generate noise field, it makes it look like air currents and terrain features and the like, even though it doesn't take those into account. Also the temperatures. And if you move the noise field, as you can see, it moves around the temperature. Leave that there for now. The drainage map is one of the simple and one of the ones I don't mess with very often. You say generate elevation standard deviation map. What it does is, based on your elevation, as you can see here, creates fairly realistic drainage. So you see these areas that are really dark. Let me go over to the biome map. Let me try, yeah, like right around down here. There are going to be areas that are going to be more swampy because they have very low drainage. And these areas, like around the mountains where the water is going to run off more, aren't going to they're not going to have nearly as many pools or, hello, welcome Shepherd. They're not going to have near as many pools or any of that sort of thing. Typically, I just hit both of these buttons once and leave it at that. Maybe you can just move it around a little bit so it's a little random. The volcanism map is another one I don't play with much. Again, it's just based on elevation, how volcanic the area is. So you're going to get your volcanoes generally in mountains. And then the savagery map is one of my favorite to play with. As you can see, I tend to keep it on hardest savagery. We'll start by generating the map, just so you can see it before I add the noise field. And Savage East means that you've got the benign neutral band. Oh, sorry, I've got it moved, so I'm not quite as sure as how the volume works. And the dog kicked it. The dog will kick it there. Sorry about that. I know that's going to be loud. It's very sensitive. And then Wild West is just flip it. So that middle band is going to be roughly the same size. And with harsh savagery and surrounded, based on where you put the savagery gradient map, that's the center of that circle. Typically, I actually like to do a heart of savagery, which then spreads out. And with the way I do it, because I like playing in warmer environments, especially hot and scorching are particularly fun for me. I tend to put it down towards where the hotter part of the temperature map is. So if I go back to the temperature map, you can see this is the warm and the hot and the scorching bands. I'm probably going to, just for this example at least, put the savagery map down right about there. And this is before I obviously add the noise field, which makes it more random I have never tried creating a world with these very normal bands without the noise field. Now, if we generate the noise field, it makes it look much more like the normal maps. You have pockets of neutral and the savage and that sort of thing. As you can see, the cold and temperate areas, especially in some of the hot areas on the east side of the map, are going to be very, very benign and calm. Whereas you get over here, they're going to be much more savage. So any good or evil areas that generate in this general region are going to be a lot more dangerous. Now that we've gotten all that done, if we go over to the biome map, as you can see, it's telling us that all of this down here is going to be desert and probably badlands, while this is tundra and ice plains up here. You can see little pockets inside the mountains where it's desert and badlands, which means that the dwarves up here are going to have access to different basic animals than the dwarves down here, and probably have, I don't know, if you were to use Embark Anywhere, different crafts available. If we come over to the elevation map, and I'm just going to set this up to 1, and then give ourselves a large brush. Right here, I'm going to create just a lonely little mountain range. It's not much on its own. One big mountain, just all on its own, separated from everything else. But that will affect everything else. You see how all this area is wet? If we generate the rain shadow map, you're going to see a little band coming out of here. See, like that? Where the rain isn't near as strong. But this area north of the mountain is much wetter. And this creates a little bit more variation, and then we're going to have to go update the drainage and the volcanism maps, because if there was a way to just tell explicitly to place volcanoes somewhere, I'd put it there. But as it stands, volcanoes are placed at the highest elevation points, and I tend to have them equal the number of mountain peaks. There's lots of volcanoes. This area has a good chance of having a volcano and caves. And if we come back to the biome map, you can see we've got badlands and then probably some normal forest, and I'm going to guess swamp here, as it's all altered down into here. And if you move around this wind direction, like let's say the wind is coming up out of this little pocket here instead, and we generate that, you can see that this area is now the very, very wet one. While these coasts do still tend to stay wet, they're not near as wide as if the wind was coming in this way, because this is just because they're coastal, the wind is driving the rain in from down here. If we go back to the biome map, you can see all this area that was desert last time is now forest, and probably it's all going to be tropical up until you start to get up into this area. So this world has very cold deserts and badlands. Think of it as almost like parts of Mongolia, or even parts of Siberia. And if we go to the rainfall map, this brush works on everything. So if I wanted to create, say, boom, right there, a very, very high rain area, I can. I can do the same on the temperature map, I believe. And if I want to create just a very hot pocket up there, I can. And then again on the drainage map, I'll create... Oh, see, there's some of your errors. If you try to do something that it doesn't like, which is generally taking certain things above certain levels, it gets mad. If I go to the volcanism map, I can say, oh, it's not one to. Let's try a smaller brush. Okay, let's try a smaller brush value. Okay, so it's already locked. I don't know why it's locked. I didn't tell it to lock. I don't even know how to tell it to lock, but I can use these sliders instead. As you can see, as I increase it, that the areas where volcanoes can generate decrease, where if I decrease it, if I go all the way down, everywhere can have a volcano except for the water, I think. You get a volcano, and you get a volcano, and you get a volcano. So I'm going to go put this back up. This is going to take a little bit of fixing. It was like, what, 83.3 or something like that? And then think it's this that has one of the big impacts. And then, if I just click that again, will it fix it? No, it will not, as far as I can tell. And then as I think that was relatively low. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Anyway, I'll have to, when I get ready to switch over to Dwarf Fortress proper, because I do plan on playing that during today's stream, I'll just re-extract and reset up this perfect world, or not do that. Check my highlight real quick and see what this is, what the settings are before I started messing with them. And then you can do the same on the savagery map. Like I can create little pockets of neutral up in there. If I increase the brush size, I'd be creating savage. So if we go, oop, I messed something up. It doesn't like the biome map anymore. It's probably over here in the volcanism. Let's see. I don't know what I messed up. So let's continue messing with the volcanism, I guess. If this takes too much longer, I'm just going to back out and, get that fixed before we go in. Because what I planned to do today to start today's stream was actually, based on the people who are actually here, generate a world, because I plan on having 3 active stream worlds, one of which is Gym Temple, which was what I streamed yesterday, which is what I'm going to close today's stream out with. And then I wanted to do one more today, which was going to be in this streamer created world, and just see what kind of craziness they created and how the world evolved around it. But before I do that, I'm going to have to fix this. So I'll be back here in just a minute. This shouldn't take me long. I hope that the ads don't blare at you too much. I apologize for the inconvenience about all of this. I haven't ever actually gotten it to where it's clicking the biome map. It doesn't like it. Although I could just try generating a new turbulence field and then doing that. But it seems, yeah, it's kept those settings. Yeah, alright. So I'll be right back. No, we will not change those. See if just opening it again will fix this. With a new world setting. Okay, so that's also where it was, but if I import a world gen file, which I believe is under the data init world gen, does that fix it? No. But if I open a map set, which I believe is, I don't know where it is, I lost where my things were. I used to know this. That was the perfect world tool. It's one of the ones that comes with a lazy noob pack. I've also got the Legends viewer open in another tab because before I start a world, I wanted to open that up and get an overview of it, just to see what people started with. Other stuff I'm going to play with before I show on stream is stuff like Armok Vision and the Story Maker and things like that. I still haven't gotten Sound Sense to work the way I want it to, otherwise so that's not going to be in today's stream, but hopefully come Monday, if I don't stream this weekend, I'll have that all fixed. So I know this is kind of, you're just seeing my mouse move around as I'm looking through to figure out where I lost the map set from. Take it, mods? No. Probably, it's in the lazy noob pack somewhere. Extras? No. Under graphics, utilities, perfect world, save. There it is. Then if I open that up, haha. All right, so that did reset everything. So now all I have to do is not save this. We can look at a world I created that I am using in a single player campaign. If I can figure out why it's not showing the biome map. I don't know why it's not showing the biome map, because there is an elevation map, but I can then from here, I guess, probably, if I exit back out and reopen it, which will only take a second, these settings should all be back to normal. No, I don't want to save any changes. I will open that back up. And let's see. Yes, the settings are all now back to normal. So, seeing as that we've got a few people here right now, do you have anything in particular you want to see, or do you want to just see me play around with this for a minute and create a map and then wait until we get over here to the map parameters, which is stuff like the end year, embark points, and mineral scarcity, and some of my favorites is altering the various different evil things like the titans and the demons, and even adding bogeymen, or boogeymen, depending on how you want to pronounce it. And then you've got all this here. Alright, yes. Ooh, usage is a little high. Okay, there we go. So, if anyone doesn't have any recommendations, I'm going to just start. I'm just going to create something real quick. I'm probably not going to spend more than 10 minutes on this, and we can get into Dwarf Fortress and the Legends Viewer. What I'm going to do for this one is I want a nice inland sea with mountains surrounding it on all sides. Then if I just move around this map, the big inland sea in the northeast with just wide open nothingness down here. Move the noise field around a little bit, and then get the brush out and put it to 0. We can use the big brush to create a couple of little lakes down here. Which, as you can see, I decided to trail that way. Go to the rainfall map, and we'll just pick the buttons as it currently is, which has apparently created something very weird right here. Go to the temperature map, and I'm going to put the cold over here in the northwest corner. Generate, and then generate the noise field. Oh, I have it inverted, so let's uninvert it. So as you get down to this little corner pocket down here, what kind of theme? I don't know. I just, whatever I feel like at the moment. And I like to do lots of little mountain ranges that border a sea. So this time I wanted to try a complete inland sea that was surrounded, just like, this isn't like a full world. It's like at one small continent, almost like Europe in the grander scheme of things. Some of my... Okay, those are all working. Okay. I don't know what happened here. I don't remember seeing these colors before. I think it's the water in the mountain. I'm being stupid. And then we'll activate the drainage map. And as you can see, this is going to be a very swampy map. Then generate that noise field. Generate noise fields for everything else. I did. Volcanism map, we'll just keep it standard for now. And then the savagery map is, for once, I'm actually going to have it radiate not quite from the same point as the cold, but in the same general area. So as you start to get down into the hotter areas, it's going to get calmer. And I might hit this. Oop, well, I'll look at what we've got so far. It actually doesn't look that bad. You've got all these little random patches of desert and it doesn't look very much like a real world would. A little too patchy, so I might play with this a little bit. But you can already tell that where all the dwarven civilizations are going to start off at. They're going to start off at these edges. All the elves and the humans are going to start off further inland. So early on, there's not going to be a lot of wars between the civilizations. So all the civilization crumbling will probably come from mega beasts and semi-mega beasts and demons and things like that. Now, because I want to alter the way this is working, while I still have this brush, I'm actually going to use these 3 smaller lakes. I'm going to combine them and make them into one very snaky lake, like that. It's not as snaky as I would like, but as I keep clicking, it's just going to get straighter. So let's put this brush up to about 2.5. Oop, I messed up. Well, 0.25. And then we'll fill this stuff back in with very flat, which is going to look a little weird because it's not got the noise field properly on it. But as you can see, when you get too close to the edges of these mountain ranges, it doesn't let you edit near as much as it does in the middle. Like if I mess with the lakes too much, which I'm now going to have to reset this, you can see there are certain extremes where it doesn't want me to go past. But if I just keep doing this, and I'm holding it down right now so I can just cover all the water and then see where it decides water's supposed to be. And apparently I broke it because I've never had it do that before. So let's try toggling. You can see the smaller area there. If I generate a new turbulence field, you can see actually that the previous clicks you do stick around. I honestly do not know why it does that. So I'm still going to go with the same theme, but I decided to give an example there. So we'll back out one more time, and I'm not going to save it, and open it up one more time, and this is the last time, I promise. And we're going to do the same rough idea. This is almost like the I want to say it's the Black Sea, except it doesn't have a route to a different sea. And we'll give you an inland sea, which you didn't generate an inland sea the way I wanted you to. Why did you not? Because you didn't keep my clicks. Try generating new turbulence field. That's it says the percent below sea level dropped too far. Alright. Now let's move this around just a little bit. The edge of the map is just a little bit too wavy for my tastes. There. I mean, it's still a little wavy, but I'll just make that very central. And then what I'm going to do is, I don't know why I like doing this, I just like my little lone mountains. I'm going to just put a little lone mountain in the middle of the lake, if I can, creating a little island. Doesn't want to gin above that. So instead, there's just going to be that little island there. I'm going to do it just on this shore over here, and have a little hill range leading down. We'll go to the rainfall map, and we'll just get this all set back up, and this time I'm going to have it blowing northwest. And just see what that looks like. I might not generate. Now I'm going to generate a noise map for this one, just so it's a little bit more broken up. Move this noise map around just a little bit. Now, as you can see, this western bank here is going to be very, very, very wet. If I go to the temperature map, I'm going to do the same thing I did with the other one, just this time I'm not going to mess things up. You can generate a noise field without putting the bands in, and it creates weird looking stuff like this. This just looks almost like a snapshot of the sky. And then you do that, and now it's back to roughly normal. I almost want to shrink the freezing areas. There's more cold than freezing, but for the time being, I'm just going to push that a little bit further up into the corner, and then go to the drainage map, and the volcanism map, and finally the savagery map. I'm going to put there. Actually, I'm going to make that little lone mountain the center. That's the heart. That's where all the savagery in the world comes from. Which is going to make this a very savage ocean here. We go to the biome map once again, and this is what it currently looks like. That little island is probably going to be home to something in the Legends map, but there's still very open areas. But you can see, you can still see that most of the non-dwarven civilizations are going to be clustered much more closely into the lake. The Dwarves are going to be all on the outskirts. And as you get further in, it's almost like a big valley. And now if we come over here and we open the not the map set, the world gen file, which I'm not currently capturing this, so I'll have to either edit something in before I upload it to YouTube or just let you rely on what I say. You want to go to your main Dwarf Fortress folder, go into your data, go down to the init folder, the init folder, open that up, and at the very bottom, depending on how you have it sorted, will be the world gen. It's also going to be one of the largest of these text documents. And when you open that up, you can now choose which of these to go with. And I'm going to go again with medium region, and I'm going to rename it so it doesn't replace the medium region, but it's rather something else. So I'm going to say this is the live region, because it was made live. And now we can start to mess with things. I always set the embark points high. That way, even if I want to have a more challenging embark, I still got flexibility. I'll set the end year to be, I don't know, we'll say 150. I like young worlds because they still have all the beasts. It's going to start checking the beasts at year 75. And it wants to stop when 60% of them are dead. And I'm going to cull unimportant historical figures and drop the mineral scarcity to 1250. Now, I like to have more of these caves, which means the Mega Beasts and the Semi-Mega Beasts are going to last longer. Up the Titan number to 10, drop this requirement down to 70 and 80,000, because it's going to make this world just a little bit more fun. Up the Demon types to 30, if I can type. Natural types to just 15. I'm not going to touch the boat. Actually, I'm going to add one Bogeyman type, because I might do adventure mode in this world. And I have no experience with adventure mode, so those of you that are with me are going to be along for a very, very weird ride while I do that. And then if I go... Sorry, I had to check something real quick. You can up how many different vampire strains there are. I'm going to go with 15. I like to up it to 15. Werebeast types, however, I'm going to up to 20. So there's going to be a lot of potential to encounter these, because I get some regions that are nowhere near them. This will make it a lot easier. Remember, secret types, they're secret, up to 20. I'm not going to touch those. I'm going to up the rain and cloud types to 16. Let me go ahead and generate that. And I usually double these. So you're going to, well, I'm not going to double this, and so I'm going to increase this to 30 and follow suit by by making sure everything is just 10 and then 2 times the next. So this will be 300 and 600. But for the evil square counts, I'm actually going to do 45, and 450, and then 900. As you can see, the minimum mountain peak number is 12, and dwarf civilizations always crop up in the mountain peaks. I'm also going to have the minimum number of volcanoes be 12. I don't know what some of these do here, so I'm not going to touch them. And I'm going to drop the number of cavern layers from 3 to 2, and because I want to get to the magma sea a little bit faster, and sometimes the caverns just... it makes the world feel just a little bit too deep. Like the threat is very, very far below. But I'm going to increase... plus this will help the FPS by having one less big area it has to care about. And if you increase the coverage density, passage density, and layer openness, which I'm going to set both of those to 25, it means that the minimum size and how easy pathing is in the caverns is going to be much higher than it would be in a normal advanced gen world. I'm not going to mess with any of these levels down here, but but you can also see you've got stuff for caves and stuff. Now, if we go over to these other tabs, none of this is currently red. I don't know why. It's because I forgot to check these. These make sure that when it uses the perfect gen, it makes sure that this is the world shape it takes. Now, this doesn't have the rivers or any of the civilizations or the good and the evil yet. But by clicking those, it'll always use that. If you unclick just one of them, say I unclicked temperature, then this wouldn't be the center of temperature anymore. Instead, it would choose its own center, and the game seems to like to use the linear one, where you've got bands at the top and sometimes bands at the bottom, depending on where it places it. So instead, I'm going to keep it all in here. Now, if you edit any of these red values, it will cause world gen failures, or have a potential to anyway. So you don't want to touch those. Now, if I come back here, I need to find the number of civilizations. 40 is a lot for a medium region. I tend to go with about 25. 20 is a good balance. I like to have a little bit of extra just to make things cramped, so there's more wars. And in adventure mode, it's not all wilderness. There's settlements, the like, to go through. And set the site cap to have 20 more than normal. That might cause some issues, but I don't know. I'll set to 10 more than normal. Not 100 or something more than normal. 10 more than normal, thank you. And you can set how many civilians there are at the beginning, and I'm always going to have the embark caves visible. Because sometimes I like to embark on the caves. And now that we're done, we can save map set, which will go in here again. I'm going to call this again the live region. And then we can export the world gen file. And what it'll do is it'll place the normal world gen file with this one, which will now have all the normal worlds, and then the two we just made, and then, well, the one I made yesterday and this one. So if we back out of Perfect World and I go ahead and launch Dwarf Fortress properly, which it's going to have sound today. If you start to have an echo problem, let me know. And it's going to be a little quiet, but it's the normal Dwarf Fortress sound, so. Let's go in and we'll unmute Dwarf Fortress. Actually, apparently a ton of things are just so muted. Because I can't hear the own stream because my cat decided to chew up my headphone cord. So if there's a bad echo, just let me know. Alright. So I can continue playing in our gym temple, or I'm going to come down here and I'm going to say design world with advanced parameters. While that's loading up, just check some out of the stream settings. Okay. Now, as it didn't, I told it, what? Did it export to the wrong area? Hang on. That's the world viewer, that's not perfect. It's over here. There's the world gen file. I don't know why it decided to export it there. So if we come back here, we go to Dwarf Fortress. If we go to here, go here. Let's see if we can do this. I apologize for this inconvenience. I'm gonna have to open Perfect World up. That shouldn't be. How about now? there's like a 30-second delay or something for me, so it takes me a little bit of time. It should be showing up now. This map set. Alright. Let's try this again, because I don't know why I didn't export the way it was supposed to. Unless it's the game that's messing up. Medium region. I forgot to set it to where you guys could see this. And it's just, you've already seen me do all of this. This doesn't work. I'm just going to open up that other world I made and show you that one instead. Click all of this. Embark points. And here. Check here. Percent. Call. Mineral scarcity. Cave. Titan. Attack trigger. Lower it just a little bit. Make them come earlier. Number of demon types. Night troll. Oh, why the bogeyman types are set to 14. I only want to pick 2. 15. 15. 30. Don't touch those. 16. 16. The in-game music is actually down at like open volume mixer. It's set to about 50-40%. 50%. So let's put it at about 30 and see how that does. 30, 300, 600, your 45, 50, 900, peak number 12. Let's make sure that this is, yes, okay. Minimal volcano, 12, I'm not going to touch any of that. Cavern layers, 2, cavern layer openness, 25, passage density, 25. Oh, can I? Alright, well, I'll turn that back up to the normal. I don't usually have my music, this music playing when I'm playing Dwarf Fortress. So 60% of 255 would be... I'm just going to set it to about 190, that's close enough for me. 190. Yeah, let's go with there. I don't have it, I just... Let's see if that actually took, because I didn't tell it. Okay. Alright. Almost done. I'm sorry about the wait, guys. And don't touch any of that. Okay, it's visible. And number of civs. Site cap. Population cap. Alright. And then we shall save the map set. And we will export the world.gin file as just world_gin. I'm going to replace this one. Yes. Oh, wait, did I? Almost done. I got an error with that, so I'm just fixing something. Alright, that's good. Yeah, I know. You already saw, I'm putting all the settings back to where they were. I'm just fixing it because it didn't want to export properly. Alright, so now, if we go to design a world with advanced parameters, yes, it's now there. And now, in honor of Shepherd Twitch being the one who's being very talkative, let's see if I can find the I'm going to go into enter advanced parameters, and I'm just going to put that to 1 and use your name for the world seed. Congratulations. That will not be saved for future use, that way I can just do that again. But we'll go on. Now it'll just gen the world. And once that's done, I'm going to open up Legends mode, and I'm going to export the Legends info. We're going to look at the Legends viewer for a minute, and then I'm going to actually get started. You are the world, or at least the history of the world. We'll see what you did to it. I can already see that there's a big cluster of volcanoes on this western side of the lake, including a civilization right around them. So this might be a good place for an embark, because I haven't embarked on a volcano in forever. I've never embarked on a mountainous cave. I've only ever accidentally stumbled across them in plains caves. And if this starts to get too slow about 1:30, I'll just end it early. I don't have the strongest computer in the world, so... Well, that's all working. Apparently, I should be good, but I'm going to disable a few of the... I've got some Streamlabs extensions set up on the stream that for some reason aren't working. Like this, it's supposed to have the chat box up. The chat box isn't showing it up the way it's supposed to. So let me try removing that entirely, removing that entirely, and removing that entirely, and we'll get this all set back up. And I can just... I haven't been seeing it. It's not appearing on my end. I don't know if that's just because I've got... In order to watch the stream for issues, I've got it set up streaming through my Xbox, and then it just got the TV muted. That way I don't tax the laptop too much. We'll just go in, and this won't take but a second. Because it's still genning. It's getting close to being done, though. Yeah, it's at 1:45 on my end. So, this is a good way to pass this time anyway. Normally we'll set up a new web page source. This one put back in. Get it centered the way I like it. Okay, and then we'll just get the chat box set up, and then I won't mess with any of the others because we're getting too close. If this doesn't fix it, I don't know. I'll mess with it in private later. Especially because the world's so close to being done. Put it back over in this corner. And there. We'll cover... Oh, yep, there it is. Thank you. At least it showed on my end. I don't know how long it's going to, There it is. There you go. And as you can see, the font I currently chosen is fairly reminiscent of the Dwarf Fortress font. That way it just fits what I've got going on. And it's now done. So let's zoom out and we'll just take a quick browse of what it did. Which is apparently very icy volcanic region up here. a good little area of evil. You can see that there's a lot of evil just all over the place. That's going to have some fun in it. But you can see there's a human civilization there. You can see all the dwarf ones. I still don't really know how to spot the elven civilizations on this map. There might not be any. But we're just going to enter and accept and zoom back in. And then I don't have it set for you to be able to see DF hack. I do have the legends set up. Just gotta click the check mark. I've also got Dwarf Therapist, where so long as I properly click it, you should be able to actually see it. Go to the Legends viewer. Just have to move it up. There we go. The world is still finishing saving, but so now that I've got everything set up the way I want it to, yeah, I wasn't seeing it at all before, and now I am. I just wanted to make sure everything's working. I've also gotten a little alert box that'll show up in the center of the screen, and hopefully it won't be too obstructive to everybody. If it is, I'll find a better place to put it once it comes into play. Then just start playing, we'll go to Legends, and then I'm going to use the DF hack command, which I'm going to set it up so y'all can see the DF hack for just a moment. It just takes a screen capture. I think that's more than wide enough. I'm accidentally showing you the XSplit. Well, you can see that I don't have things very organized, but I'll just hide that for a minute and delete that. Get that set back up over here in this corner, and then have a new screen capture. There. So, just make sure that everything looks. It does. It looks fine, except for apparently it captured the historical events behind it instead of the DF hack. I don't know why it did that. Oh well, I'm gonna stop playing with it and just move on for now. Say I did in the future. There's a DF hack command called export legends info. I'm just going to put that in real quick. And once it's done, I can open up this, which you should see here in a sec. It should be short. It should be. And once it's all done, I can just come in here and I can load up Legends. And it should be loading up. It says it's loading. Are you not seeing it? You're not seeing it. I didn't. That up then. There we go. Alright, so it's not wanting to load. Let's try this again. Alright, it's loading this time. It's going to take a minute, but once it's loaded in, we'll just take a look at what we got. And then we'll go in. Alright, apparently we have a ton of goblins and almost no kobolds, so we won't have very many thieves. Now, as you will notice, once this loads up, there are orcs. Those are probably just going to be the goblinoids, but I've got 2 mods installed that I did not have previously. I've got well, technically 30. I've got the some from the assorted creatures pack. I've got the Jurassic Park dinosaurs and the giant locusts, and then I've got goblinoids, goblins, and orcs, which I didn't enable the Dark Ages, so this orcs is probably all the other goblinoids. But as you can see, elves are nearly extinct, but kobolds are even closer. So we won't have any problems with elves. We've got 3 dwarven civilizations, the tactical armors, the robust mechanisms, and the glove of pools. Glove, not glove. We've got the helmeted goalie for the elves, the brushed droplets, the fair sparkle, which has 2 people left, and the goalies of drilling. What the elves are drilling for, I don't want to know. Maybe they're planning on unleashing the clowns. The goblins are fair. They've got 2 really big civs. I think I may have